Hey guys, it's DBJ, DeVabrian Jackson, and I want to talk about the Fallen. Um, Primarily, this involves Dungeons and Dragons of all iterations: the paladin, the cleric, the warlock. Um, After trolling around a number of Facebook groups, you see on Twitter and Reddit and everything, and let me just say that we, as a RPG community, have this ultimate desire to want to have an answer for every question. And we should always have more questions than answers. We should not always know the proper answer to everything. Because once you know an answer or you believe you have an answer, creativity stops. There's nowhere else you can go once you have the answer. If the answer is 42, there's no surprise anymore. So let's specifically talk about the Fallen. For someone or a group of people out there who don't know what I'm talking about and just happen to have this video playing in the background or they're listening or something. The Fallen are those characters that are gifted with power from a being or source from beyond and have done something where they no longer are in favor of that source of power. Usually that source of power has a sentience to it that grants them this ability, as opposed to just tapping into the power and it is an energy source. So the most common one is the paladin, right? The paladin lives by a code, and that code then is in line with their deity, their god, a spirit, or whatever. They take an oath. That oath, their devotion to that oath grants them additional power, just like a cleric who believes in this greater force, and a warlock. Now, some have tried to or make comparisons to clerics and warlocks. This is my description of the differences between a cleric and a warlock, although mechanically you can describe it any way you wish, depending on how the game is done. A cleric offers service, and as a side effect, they gain power. So there are many people who serve the gods in very many worlds, including our own. There are people who believe in a higher power. And as a side effect, there may be some beneficial otherworldly benefit to having service to this otherworldly power. It may not be to themselves. It may not even be to this generation. It may have been to past generations or future generations. But service comes first, power comes second. Warlocks, on the other hand, want power first, service second. They beseech a higher power to grant them the ability of something, very many times avoiding death, causing harm to others, or wanting power or money or prestige, or just not to be a total loser. And then that other person grants them this power and says, well, you must serve me in a certain way. Now, often I think the word warlock is a bad choice because there are very many people who, upon the harm or near fatal death of a loved one, beseech a just and true and gracious and honorable God and says, hey, if you save this person, desiring power, then I will serve you in all your methods. That person can be a good warlock, right? The word, if you ignore the word warlock and just abide by what this encompasses, clerics serve first, power comes second. Warlocks have power first, service second. And with either of those, it's a close. But how does one fall? Well, if you do not abide by the obligations or oaths or tenets of this other being, you fall. Unfortunately, in the role-playing community, everybody and their mom wants to make opinions and step in when a player does not abide by those rules, which I think is unfair because those same restrictions are not placed on many other character classes. No one comes down on the druids or the rogues or the fighters for not abiding by some particular code of conduct or honor, because many of those other classes do not have such a strict version of those. So how do we handle this in game? Well, there are no official rules written anywhere. There are unofficial rulings, so I'm going to give you how I would do it. First of all, this is all based on the people you're playing with. This has nothing to do at all with anybody else playing anywhere. You can use some examples. You can get some advice. But it all depends on the people you play with. If your group is not about the role playing and you just want the mechanical part and you just want to solve the situation now and move on, fine. If you are a role-playing group and you're like, I would love to delve into this story of losing faith and gaining the faith back and atoning for it or whatever, that's perfectly fine too. But there's a couple of things we need to look at. First of all, there are no game rules that are more important than humans playing at the table. If your only reason for wanting to, and I don't know why this is, completely stripping a character of all their powers is to punish that person, but you like that person, why would you do that? Right? Why would you punish a player at your table to basically be ineffective? I don't understand the need to go from 0 to 60 all the time with rulings and rules and narrative in gameplay. There's no reason for it. So here are some of my suggestions. When a warlock / cleric / paladin does something that violates a tenet, and that player is I'm assuming that all the people playing are open-minded, they have open and fair discussions, and something happens that causes them to lose favor. Well, the first option is to do nothing, right? It would be it's imagining the paladin NPC in the world who's a complete asshole, and the players are like, well, how the hell is this person is overbearing and they're rude and they have a foul temperament and they punish people unreasonably and they still have the power of the deity? What does that say about the world? Are they granted power to never have it taken away? Is the deity in support of these bad behaviors? Those are questions and things that you can delve into. All right, so the first thing is just do nothing. Let the players violate all they want and then have nothing happen. That's not dynamic, right? That doesn't create conflict. And if a person chooses to play a character or character type that has this outside source, then they must be willing, since they are agreeing to play this character type, to have that effective. So one idea is to, as the game master, to restrict or change one power choice. So if they can pick or choose 7 spells, you as game master say, no, there is one spell you cannot choose. You cannot choose a cure spell. Pick anything else, but for some reason you cannot pick a cure spell. Maybe that sends a little message. Or one of your spells is a cure spell. Okay? They continue to violate things. And then you say, as a game master, dungeon master, you must pick 2 slots for your cure spell. Let's be more specific, or let's get strange. One of your spells is create food and water. A couple days go by. Now you must fill 2 slots with create food and water. Okay, a couple days. Now you must fill 3 of your selections with create food and water. And the player's going, wait, what? I have 3 spell slots? It was 2. What's going on? Maybe the god is telling them to atone, to feed, to give food and water to maybe the needy, right? Let the player figure it out. Or maybe the other players figure it out. Or something's going on where, oh, the deity is giving me power from outside. This power must be used for a reason. Maybe I can atone for this. Here's a second option. Hey, Paladin, one of your spell slots is, I don't know, Burning Hands or Fireball. What? That's not a clerical spell. That's not a paladin choice. No, one of your spells is Burning Hands. Really? Yeah, one of your spells is Acid Arrow. One of your cantrips. Yeah, it's Acid Arrow. One of your first level spells, Burning Hands. Okay. That's kind of cool. Now the next time they pick two spells, two of your spell slots, one is Burning Hands, and the other one is Darkness. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, when you try to heal one of your players, you realize that you're probably going to cause harm to them. What? Make it a slow progression, a choice, this thing where you're not taking away their capabilities, you're just altering the way those capabilities manifest until maybe they're drawn into it from another otherworldly power. Now, sometimes we think of, like, in terms of the warlock, that they have a warlock patron. If the patron just says, hell, to hell with you, they don't get any more power. Maybe there's a difference. Maybe they start drawing their power away a little at a time. Or they start being beseeched by another greater power who wants to use the player character as a pawn in their bigger conflict. Of course, there are outside influences, such as a certain monster type keeps showing up, hunting that player character. Or other faithful in their religion, for some reason, can see a brand upon their forehead. Or, for some strange reason, natural animals are avoiding them. Horses start to sweat, and milk spoils, and birds fly backwards, and it rains frogs. Those kind of things. Things start happening around them. When they take footsteps, they realize that the ground burns underneath their feet as they walk, knowing that everyone else can see that they are cast aside or scarred by the god or goddesses or something. Maybe a 50-pound stone keeps appearing in their backpack. Every time they move this heavy-ass stone out of their backpack, they put the light backpack on, all of a sudden it feels heavy. And they reach into it, and there's this stone inside of it. Come up with all these greater ideas. Now, one of the problems about atoning is that some may feel that the atonement process takes away from everybody else. It's kind of like twiddling their fingers, and they're going, oh, we got to wait for the other player character to atone before they can get back to the action. When you can make that the actual element in the game. So instead of saying, hey, okay, guys, you got to go stop the dragon, maybe the atonement itself is, you've got your powers, but if you don't kill this dragon, you lose, then you're going to lose everything, right? I know you as player characters could care less about stopping the dragon, but you must stop this dragon because the god says, do this or else. Maybe an NPC starts gaining more favor than that player character. Maybe an NPC they've always hated starts gaining the powers they thought they had. Could you imagine, like, a vile, sniveling little NPC that's annoying, and all of a sudden they start gaining favor and power in their own religion? That'd be awesome. So anyway, I'm DBJ. As always, when in doubt, role play it out. See what happens. What happens when their enemies start gaining the power that they're losing because they are ignoring their patrons or their patron saints or the deity's orders or instructions. They start fading away. Maybe the player character chooses, knowing they're going to fall out of favor, and chooses an action anyway, martyring themselves. And in return, they lose certain powers. Let's say the paladin loses their spell-like abilities, but they temporarily gain something else from maybe another class type. Could you imagine a paladin that temporarily gains the rage of a barbarian until they can rid themselves of this great anger inside them when they decided to, in a rage, slay all the hobgoblins that killed the people in this village? Just make it a story. And can you add a mechanical thing? Is there a rule for this? No. The thing is, you have people playing with you, and they want to be involved in your world. If you want them to continue playing in your world, don't smack them down and punish them just for no reason. We don't have to go from 0 to 60. We don't have to turn it on and off, black and white all the time. Use the mechanics to help your narrative. Use the narrative to shape the mechanics. And as always, in all role-playing games, it says if you don't like something, change it. And if it's not written in there, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means it does exist in your world with your players. Talk about it. Don't do it in game and have these 2-hour arguments in, while you're trying to run a game about why a paladin should or shouldn't lose their powers immediately, instantly. Maybe the game master has a story. Maybe you don't even know what the hell to do. So you let the paladin continue with their abilities, even while the other players are like, well, that's not fair. He just killed an innocent person. Maybe the god has another plan for them, right? So let's do all that. Use the mechanics, use the narrative. The paladin's powers are now tainted with black energy, and the bad guys start going to their side when the good guys see what they're doing. Maybe the paladin has a poisonous touch, and anyone he comes close to may get poisoned, and the paladin's like, oh, that's a cool ability, until they start hurting innocent people and poisoning their own food. Create new stories, guys. Anyway, DBJ, just a couple of little hints and things I've heard talk about this kind of subject, and so I thought I'd give my 2 cents. So anyway, thank you very much. Give me a D4 like below, or maybe a D6 subscription. Even go all the way to a D20. Check out DriveThruRPG. I'm part of Critical Hit Publishing. On DriveThruRPG, we have PDFs and print-on-demand books. The cinematic environs is my brainchild. I love it so dearly. Check it out and check other people's reviews on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this. Love you guys. Have a good one.